Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, everybody. This is Diane from the Red Whine. Am I not on yet?
Hey, I know you're in a hurry to talk, but
Damn
you usually let him go till he says red wine, so you rushed me, ma'am.
I did not. You sat there and made it go low, and I was like, "Oh, music stops. Diane starts."
No, that's a gate issue, so I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Are we on right now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I'll start all over again. Hi, everybody. This is Diane from the Red Whine and Double D Uncensored, in case anybody doesn't know us. I am joined by Darylyn, who is eating some tortellini right now. So I guess I'm going to do the chatting initially. Anyhow, so we have a lot to talk about. Obviously, we're going to talk about the convention last week. I'm sure a lot of people watched it. I watched it. Normally, I do when I kind of like read my book while I'm watching it, but this time I was actually watching it. My favorite, and forgive me for not remembering his name, was the 98-year-old veteran who was out of Wisconsin. And he was just absolutely amazing. When you think he's 98 and he was so far well-spoken versus our former vegetable in chief, Joe Biden. But when you hear a 98-year-old World War II veteran who stormed the beaches in Normandy state that for President Trump, he would re-enlist again and storm any beach that Trump wanted him to storm was just absolutely amazing to me, because that's like the last great generation, if you want to think about it. It blew me away when he said that. And I'm pretty sure it blew Donald Trump away. It was just an amazing moment in that convention of a lot of different amazing moments. What did you see, Darylyn, that really stuck in your mind?
What stuck in my mind were an awful lot of things. I mean, first of all, President Trump seemed to me to be more presidential, to be more reserved, and I think coming to such a close fate with death and knowing that people tried to plan your demise has, I think reinvigorated his internal constitution to just do the best for the American people. And I saw a solemn president. I saw, a respectful president. People definitely have sympathy for him, except for some crazies that, said some really crazy things. I can't imagine that people would wish the death of any American president. And that, makes me really sad, because I never wished ill on Obama or Biden or, any Democrat president. So it just goes to show that some people have their colors. And I think that bringing Ron DeSantis together to Nikki Haley, I think JD Vance, was a great pick. His wife looks a little overwhelmed, which I don't blame her. But what struck me was Kai Trump and her being able to express her feelings for her grandfather, to bring him, more in tune with, like, he is a person that cares about other people. So that struck me. The veteran that said that he would, give his life all over again to fight.
Yep.
That's someone who loves the country. And what I saw, there was a lot of people that love their country, and they're just looking for a change because, as Rick said in an earlier post, the left wants to stop Trump and the right wants to stop these terrible policies that have destroyed the middle class. And we see that here in Cape Cod. We see that with a crime rate raising and our police officers getting hurt. And we're losing.
I mean, we see that all over the place.
Right.
And what I wanted to talk about is going back just a few days further, because you have 25 years in law enforcement. You've done details for presidential candidates or high profile candidates that have come to. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you about what you see as an outsider looking in, even though you're an insider, but, from not being part of it. And as each day something comes out more and more about what went wrong. And we're finding out today, for example, that, and that there's a command room, which usually has all the top law enforcement officers of the, in that day in this command room. Okay. And that's typical, correct?
Well, I can't like pass myself off that I know about, presidential secrets, but what I can say is I've done an awful lot of operations with people that were far more experienced than me in the type of people that, can't really tell you what they do. And
Right.
what I can say is that there's always a plan. There's always an operation plan. And thank God that the people who commanded my unit, um, they were savvy, they were older, and they mentored us. And you wouldn't see, no one ever got killed on the hundreds of raids that we did because there's a plan and everybody knows what they're supposed to do. You're at the left, you're in the back, you're at the right, you're going to, we're going to break down the door, you're going to go in first. I mean, it's it's hours of preparation for one entry. And what I noticed was people seemed to be very confused. And my bosses and my coworkers prepared me. I knew exactly what I was going to do. There was no like, what are we going to do now? There was no, I mean, those people were panicked and more worried about putting their sunglasses on than, you know, than than taking any sort of action. So, if
What
those
came
people
out
were,
to, but what came out today was that usually in the command room, you'll have your top law enforcement agency, those in that room, in that area. Okay, they're in this room. Apparently, they did not allow local law enforcement representation in that command room. So you had a big piece who was probably responsible for a bulk of, perimeter stuff or whatnot that didn't have access to that room. That came out today during the testimony. You have the head of Secret Service who couldn't answer simple questions that were put forth to her. I mean, for the fact that they said you need to go back to, being in charge of the security for a bag of Doritos versus the, former president of the United States, because that's how bad you are.
well, I mean, she
You're
served
right.
under Clinton, she served under Obama, and I believe she was close with Jill Biden.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, these jobs, these really big jobs, don't always go to the most qualified people, and anybody in law enforcement understands that. You're friends with so and so, so you get to tag on his or her tail, and it's not about who can do the best job. When we're talking about securing the president of the United States or a former president of the United States, we want the top people on there, and they wanted to take him out. This was their last ditch effort to try to take him out. And I hope that when President Trump gets back in the White House, that he's able to do a thorough investigation to find out who it was. And he has to. If he wins, there's 10,000 people that the president gets to appoint, and there's 10,000 people that he'll probably have to get rid of in the upper echelons of government. And I don't think he'll make the same mistake that he made last time, keeping some hangers on.
I would imagine that he is probably going to be at the ready day one on who he's going to be putting into place.
I would think so too. I would think that's already been decided, especially after this debacle. But I also have to say that there's going to be some security people on Trump's side that should have been should have liaisoned with the local police. And like I posted this on our Double D Facebook page. There's never any firefighter who ever said that roof's too steep. So why would any Secret Service agent ever say that roof's too steep? I mean, these people are highly trained snipers. They can strap themselves in to nearly anywhere. So it looks like another Uvalde. I would have gone into Uvalde with a tennis racket or nothing if I had been a police officer there. There should be no
Questions.
I mean, this was purposeful. This was purposeful. People were a part of it, and I think Cheadle is suspect number one, or they put her in place with a bunch of incompetent people, and they're going to let her go down with the ship. So you never really
because
know.
they're basically saying they were like DHS agents, and you can tell by the pictures. I mean, people argued with me when I'm like, I'm sorry, but you're trying to say that she couldn't put her gun in her holster because she was in the pile on top of the president. Well, guess what? This picture clearly shows that she was not in the pile. She was sitting there, basically probably the picture that I saw, which I'm sure I posted, looked like she was just putting her hands open as she finished, like wringing her hands, going, "Oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" And
Well,
it was disturbing because she didn't even have her gun in her hand.
when that sort of thing happens, and I'm not defending her, but if she wasn't trained for it, there's a huge adrenaline dump that happens when you get in those, when you're shot at, or you are in a crowd that's getting shot at. And a lot of people tend to have tunnel vision. And the one thing that the state police, the Mass State Police and the DEA taught us to was, that's why they want you to look left, look right, take a breath. And that's why we have this sort of stress training that we do. When they yell and scream at us and try to get you to, load your weapon under stress, that's not even the amount of stress that you would face if you were in a real shooting.
Mhm.
So, to try to make things kinder and gentler really does a disservice because it's not, you're not getting yelled and screamed at for the whole entire time. But what it does is it teaches you to,
It desensitizes you.
it teaches you to focus, right? When
Yeah.
you can feel that adrenaline, it's kind of like if you've ever gone on a roller coaster and when you get off the roller coaster, your legs feel like
Rubber.
rubbery, or if you ride a bike for a long time and then you try to run, it feels really sloppy, really slow.
Or if you've been on a boat for like a long time and then all of a sudden you get off.
Exactly. So it takes conditioning, and if they're saying that they're just pulling people from Homeland Security, I just still think that there should have been a briefing. No one should have been saying, what do we do now? What do we do now? That there should have been contingency plans, and not just one or two, but three. So, unfortunately, I don't know that we'll ever totally know what the truth is.
I would
but
certainly hope that we should, because realistically, I mean, granted, I never knew until when I was listening to Dana Perino when they were doing, commentary about the convention, where she had mentioned that was a publicly known attempt, I guess, on George Bush's life. But then she also talked about a time where someone had, I guess, had got a grenade, but they didn't pull the pin or something like that, but they literally found the grenade. And that's something that we never knew about. I don't ever remember hearing anything about a grenade.
But there's a lot of attempts and a lot of security issues that you'll never hear about. But, if someone's walking up the lawn of the White House, you certainly should have someone who's able to intercept that person.
Look at how long though, when you think about it, in law enforcement, look at how long he was seen, he was noticed, he was watched climbing up. I understand why the police officer disengaged, because he was on the back of another officer trying to get on top of the roof, put his head up, and the kid turned and swung his gun right at him. So as he ducked, he fell off the other officer's back. That's understandable. It wasn't like he was ducking and saying, "Oh shit, I'm going to get killed." He ducked, obviously, to save his life for that brief minute. But had he not fallen off, they didn't know what they were going to see up there. Although he probably should have had his gun ready. But I don't know, because I don't know the situation. But when you look at the law enforcement officers, where a cruiser had to break down the fencing so that the officers could get beyond the fencing and run to where the building was.
Yeah, it seems to be a very
still don't know what team, where they were stationed, because the picture everybody saw of the two officers up with the sniper, guns and everything. They weren't the ones that took the kill shot. It was another sniper.
Yeah, it doesn't appear that there was just one, and it's always.
Did you listen? I had sent Daryl in a YouTube video of the gunshots, and it's clearly 3 different gunshots. 3 sounded muffled. 3 went like a rapid gunfire, and then there's like this one, which I think was the kill shot. The very last one, I think, might have been the kill shot. I don't know. But
And
it's
how about
interesting.
people calling it a senseless act of violence? It wasn't a senseless act of violence. It was an assassination and a murder.
Yes. I mean, people seem to forget. You have Keith Olbermann, who is a piece of shit. Let's just put that right out there. Guy's the biggest piece of shit ever. Today, I mean, we talk about Biden saying lower the rhetoric, right? He said, Trump, you better flee, you better run. You know, it's like, really, he's trying to put out there that Trump never even got shot. And is he going to say next that, you know, Corey, contemporary, wasn't killed? You know,
That
put Keith Olbermann in front of me, and you know, I would sit there and slap him or punch him right in the face because he's a piece of shit. I have
and
no
you
time for fucking pansy pieces of shit like him.
well,
You
you know,
know,
I think
has been. He's
as
a
a
has
nation,
been.
I mean, how, other than JFK, how many assassinations attempts have we had on Democrats
Robert
that we
F.
know about,
Kennedy,
right?
Robert F. Kennedy,
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy. Um, and you know, they've never really released all that information, but it seems like when you really look at things, a whole lot of other, I mean, I would sit there and say they still haven't released all the stuff for JFK. Why? I don't know. We're going to find out that, perhaps F. Lee Bailey or whoever was the head of the FBI or whatever at the time, did they have something to do with it? Has the deep state been in existence for all of these decades?
Of
It,
course. I
it
mean,
makes it makes me question it. I mean, we had an actual, and people don't want to talk about it, but when you think about it, how they disenfranchised the voters in all the states that have voted upcoming to this, Democratic convention, and they literally disenfranchised them right overnight.
yeah,
And
and
they
I don't
pulled they did to Biden what they had done to Trump with getting the media, and now they're all fawning over Harris, who has far more people that can't stand her than Biden did. I mean, he was just a useless drone, but she is a word salad drone. But here's the
but
thing, and this is what I was waiting for, and this is what people forget, and I want to make this clear, that when Kamala was running in the state of New Hampshire, which is where she dropped out, she literally left the state. Biden ran away in the middle of the night. She left because she knew she was toast. In the week before the New Hampshire primary, they had the debate. In that debate, I'm pretty sure my dates hopefully will be right, but it doesn't matter. In that debate, Tulsi Gabbard literally demolished Kamala Harris like I've never seen. It was literally like, if I was Kamala Harris, I probably would have sat there and tucked my tail between my legs and ran, which is what she did. And then she withdrew from the race. And Tulsi Gabbard today came out swinging about Kamala Harris, stating that the only thing that's changing between Biden and Kamala is that it's now going to be Kamala Harris as a woman, the same, characters that are actually running this country, the unelected bureaucrats and all that stuff will still be running the country. And she's saying, do not vote for Kamala, do not fall for this. And I think that's the key, where all these people that are fawning all over Kamala and, like fundraising off of it, like Ted Cruz and whatnot, in my opinion, what they're going to do is they know Kamala can't beat Trump. I don't care what anybody says. Kamala is far more unpopular than Joe Biden. There's no way. And if she puts Gretchen Cruella DeVille out of Michigan, as because they're touting, oh, it's going to be an all-female ticket. I'm sorry, but I'm post-meso.
May I for just a moment? Because
Yes.
I'm gonna call something right now.
Yes.
So two things. One, the only way this ticket survives is if Hillary Clinton is the vice presidential pick, and that certainly basically seals her fate. If she's not the VP pick, because she'll bump off Kamala to get the top of the ticket once everything's over with. But if she's not anywhere on that ticket won't survive. There is no way, as long as Hillary Clinton is alive, that any other woman besides her is going to be POTUS.
You know what, though? I don't think. And here's what I thought was really interesting is, and I checked and I didn't see it, but Obama still has not come out and endorsed Kamala Harris. Is that correct? I'm pretty sure it is.
No,
has
they
not.
had nobody else has besides
Because
Biden, and nobody can really confirm that Biden did
oh
it because
no, Pelosi came out and endorsed her today.
I didn't
I
see
don't.
Pelosi did that,
Oh
but I
yeah,
might.
Pelosi came out and endorsed her. I can't remember because I saw that on the breaking news, whatever. It's like big fucking deal. A bunch of people have supposedly Gavin Newsom endorsed her. They said probably it's like 3 out of the potential people that they were thinking might want to run as in the mini primary endorsed her. So, and I think, in my opinion, Obama won't because Obama really wants that mini primary more than anything.
He does, yeah.
And apparently the squad came out and endorsed Kamala, which I was shocked over. At least 3 of them. I didn't see AOC's name in there, but like the Ilion idiot and the other idiot and the third idiot, they all endorsed her. So I don't think Hillary Clinton could even fathom the thought of being a vice president unless she knocked off, as you said, Rick, Kamala. Clintonized, I like to call it.
Right. Well, there was talk
The
here
correct term is
of
Arkansas, ma'am.
Yeah.
Arkansas shot themselves in the back while they're hunting out in the woods.
Yeah.
There was talk here from some people who are politically connected, and I trust them, that Jill Biden was in town to speak to Deval Patrick to try to get him aboard as Harris's running mate.
Oh God,
So,
please.
but what I'm more questioning is why would her first campaign stop be Massachusetts and Provincetown?
Well, it wasn't though. She wasn't. Well, we didn't know she was going to be the president. She obviously probably knew. But here's the thing, right? Kamala, for years since she's been has known his condition. She has known he was cognitively impaired. She knew all of this. And so for all of these Democrats that have been coming out screaming all of a sudden saying, "Oh, this is horrible, horrible." You all condoned it. She condoned it.
But I don't think they care. It's a win at all cost.
Yeah.
And it's because they know that if they get Kamala, the same people will be running the country. And like we said earlier, with this inflation that we have, is it posed a 15% tax on all of our products. So if Biden and Harris had come out and said we're going to raise taxes 15%, people would go crazy. Instead, the inflation raised the prices of goods, which also raised the prices of the tax because they're both I can't think of the word. If the price is if the product is more expensive, the taxes are going to be higher. So the only person who benefited from this past inflation was the government. So the government coffers were stored. And speaking of government coffers, like what happens to Joe Biden's campaign funds?
The only one that can access the campaign funds is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's it.
Yeah,
So,
hang on. Let me stop you right there because there's been an update for that while you
really
put on the air. So there was an interview on Ingram Angle with a member of the FEC, and basically the Biden camp has already changed all the names at the top of the header. So they are going to run with it and try to spend that money and deal with the consequences later because they know the FEC can't do anything to stop them in the short time before the election. So they'll have to deal with whatever fallout there is later.
And someone brought up a really good point. I think it was Rick Grinnell, where he said, no, it was Raheem. He said, when have you ever known the FEC to process all of this on a Sunday? They're not even open.
Well, that's just it. They have no injunctive powers anyway. The FEC doesn't. The most they'll be able to do is follow everything up later after the election. Now, what needs to happen is any of the big name donors who don't want the money to go to Kamala better be filing in federal court like yesterday, so they can try to get an injunction put in before they start spending that money. But there's not enough of a time frame, and it's one of the things that I kept trying to explain to people, and nobody wanted to believe me. Was I understand that they're going to be breaking the law, but they're already basically breaking the law to do what they're doing now, so they're not going to care.
They've been breaking the law since day one, absolutely.
I mean, and they're not going to care. So,
and I think in my mind, having J.D. Vance as vice president for Trump, people sit there and say, well, he's so new. She has far more experience in the government than he does, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't matter. The guy is smart as a whip. And, Trump's been there, done that. And the people that he has surrounding himself now with Pompeo and all that stuff. I mean, which, by the way, Pompeo looked really great, I must say. He must be doing the Ozempic or something. I don't know. But anyhow, I digress.
Actually, Roger looked pretty good from going out of prison himself.
But I think, all of a sudden people are like, don't take Kamala for granted. I think they're going down ballot, is what my opinion is. I think they know Kamala's going to lose. They're going to start shifting money down ballot so that if Trump gets into office, like he will more than likely do, they want to make sure that they have the House and the Senate, or at least one of the two. And that's what they're going to be doing. But where in my mind, I see people that are going to go and they're going to vote along the party lines. They're just going to go straight down ballot, completely down. And people mentioned today they think Kamala is going to get all the pro-Palestinian voters. No, she's not, because she's come out supporting Joe Biden when it comes to Israel. And she knows that a lot of these donors are extremely rich, will not be pleased if she sits there and all of a sudden does the pro-Palestinian language. So she's not going to get the college voters. She'll get the money, but she won't get the voters. And that's exactly what they need.
Well, what they were starting to do, Biden was starting to do all over again, which is the big lie, talking again about forgiving student loans. And that's how I believe he got some college votes, because of the lie. So they'll start this lie up again. Oh, we're going to pay off somebody's mortgage. We're going to pay off your college loans. What I want to hear is we are going to give the military a pay raise. We are going to build our military back up again. And if we're going to be importing people into the United States, we should be doing it by those diversity visas. The diversity visa brings in people who are educated, that have skills, and they're not a drag on our economy. We want to bring in people that are going to be a lift, not a drag.
Yeah, I mean, when my oldest went to college overseas in the UK, I had to sign and send it to the British consulate in New York City, as a parent, that when she went over there on a student visa, that she would not, for any circumstances, try to apply for their public welfare benefits or anything like that. That was mandatory. And like her visa would have been revoked immediately if she tried to apply for any benefits. So I don't understand why we're letting, people in and we're supplying them with more benefits than, our own citizens. It doesn't make sense. But that's a whole argument for a whole other day, whatever. But I'm just kind of curious. I mean, like, if we want to pivot back to the convention, people were very excited.
How about Kid Rock?
He was pretty cool.
Oh my God. And that was just amazing. And if you can picture those two are friends. Tucker Carlson, great speaker.
I thought was really good was the Reverend who is from Detroit. I was like, man, I will join your church, because
I love that.
The way he spoke was just amazing. I was normally when I hear that type of stuff, because the way my mom is, it's like all of a sudden I'm like, I can't breathe, and I feel like but with him I was like, oh, this is like amazing. I'm like, I feel like I could belong to his church.
Yeah, and he just said that was the hand of God. And
no, he's like, President Trump came to the hood. What president has ever come to the hood?
Right, and sat in his church.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he's so thankful and grateful, and his family is thankful and grateful. And Maria Shriver is tweeting out, like, where's Barron? Give it a rest, woman. His father, was nearly assassinated on television. And all they can worry about is where's Barron. There's no end to the disgusting depths even to disappearing people that these people won't do to win.
They
In
don't even know if Barron may have been backstage,
right.
or Barron may have been, like you said, terrified of actually being exposed after seeing what happened to his father.
Yeah. How about he just wants to stay home with his mom?
No, his mom
Or
was
be,
there.
or like be with his mom, or be with his family, or wherever he wants to be. I mean,
Well, Melania was there, but he could have been with her dad. He's very close to the
right,
grandfather.
right.
And for all they know, he could be traveling with his grandfather.
And it doesn't matter. How about you worry
No.
about your own family?
Yeah, I
Your own
mean,
family's got their own issues. And why are you gonna pick on an 18-year-old? To try to throw him out into the limelight. Just leave him alone.
well, they can't, because that's the way they are.
So did you hear that Kamala said that she's raised 80 million since Biden dropped
Oh, yeah,
out?
but all that is the donors that have withheld the money from Joe Biden to get him to drop out. They just released the money. That's it. It's not like she raised anything from grassroots or anything. No, it all goes through the Act Blue or the super PACs. There, it's highly doubtful, in my mind, that just because Kamala, first of all, no, I don't buy it.
How about the democracy and Rosie O'Donnell crying? Her therapist, she was discussing with her therapist that it'll be the end to democracy. I don't think these people
Hang on,
understand.
hang on.
Yeah.
You missed the subtext. Her cat's name is Therapist. That's who she was trying to.
She was talking to her cat.
Yeah, so when Darylyn mentioned that, Rick, I pulled out my most favorite tweet of ever, which was November of 2016, when Trump, I think it was 16, when Trump won, and Rosie O'Donnell had sent something, and I said, "Ha ha ha! This must be your worst nightmare." And I had like the laughing emojis, and she actually replied back to me and said, "Yes, it is." I was like, "Ha ha ha! That was the best tweet ever."
Nice.
I know. I'm gonna have to resurrect that
one. Alvin Bragg. Do you think he's a little worried if we get a Republican president?
He should be.
How about all those DAs that, that didn't prosecute all these small crimes, and when you don't take care of like the broken window, and you're going to allow all these crimes to continue. I'd like to see real statistics from a reputable company that shows the increase in crime from the time Joe opened the borders. And in the years prior when Trump was president, I'd really like to see, and of course it always, what the Democrats want to do is, there's too much murder statistics. Well, we're going to stop prosecuting people for murder.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing,
too
though.
many. Well, this is how the Democrats do it. If they complain too many people are getting tickets on Day Boulevard in Southie, so well, we just raise the speed limit so nobody gets a speeding ticket. So
I thought it was really interesting how someone pointed out that they felt that we needed to be concerned about the election. Republicans needed to be concerned because they're stating that this election is going to be about abortion and Trump. And I disagreed 100%, because every single poll, exit polls, whatever you want to call them, coming out of, from New Hampshire to all the various states, the top two reasons was illegal immigration and the economy. People are going to be voting with their bank account, and they're going to be voting with what they see surrounding them. They don't care about abortion unless you're under a certain age limit, okay? But kids now that are graduating from college and they're realizing how little these big paychecks that they thought they were going to be getting is going because of inflation, they're going to be voting with their paycheck in their minds.
I hope they are. I really hope they are. And I had said, I would love to start some sort of, maybe for start about juniors in high school, juniors, seniors, and say to them, okay, you make $200,000 a year. Here's your payment for your house. Here's your car insurance. Here's your gas. Here's what it's going to cost you to commute to work. And show them just how far their money goes. Like, I just got a pay stub, and I think so far I don't know how old the pay stub was, but say it was I made $54,000. I paid $8,800 in federal taxes.
That's not bad.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah,
only going
but
to
I
go
know what
up
you mean.
because my
Oh,
my
yeah.
pension is like 116, right? So I'll be paying, three times that number in for what?
Yeah. For you to pay for the illegal aliens to live in a hotel room and have their phones and everything paid for them and send their kids to camp and
Well, that
for
makes
them to
that,
have you're paying for their insurance on their cars because God knows they're not getting insurance on their cars.
and that's why
Let's see what
insurance
else you're
went up.
paying for. Yeah. Let's see what else. Well,
You're
yeah,
paying
and what
for
else are you paying for?
Well, you're paying for the decline in your children's education
Yep,
because
dumbing down the education.
there's no
Absolutely.
immersion English program. So what I've heard from all these teachers, and a lot of teachers are starting to quit as well because, one teacher told me, and it's not in the Cape, so don't everybody freak out about the Cape, that they teach algebra, college prep algebra. But there's kids in the class that can't even speak English. So how is she supposed to teach them college prep algebra? And we just
They'll
keep
do the
passing these kids
social
along.
promotion. Social promotion.
Yeah. I just hope that maybe more Republicans, or not even Republicans, but conservatives, will start to go into the teaching profession or start to substitute teach or just, get involved and expose. I spoke to one police chief on the Cape once, and he was having they were having a camp. And I said, I think it would be great if the police started to get more involved with kids. And because it's always, the 5-0 and the popo and in the pipeline to prison and all those sorts of things. Um, Police officers don't want to see kids. We don't want to arrest kids.
Well, the first thing they need to do, okay, is parents need to, instead of telling their children, you better behave or that police officer over there is going to arrest you, because that immediately starts, especially for a child that's a young, impressionable age. I think any police officer will tell you that is the worst thing a parent can say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Someone asked me to come over their house and chastise their child, and I was like, no. No,
Chastise your own child. You're the
I'm
parent.
not doing that. I have 3 of my own, first of all.
But I mean, I think that's what a lot of parents need to stop doing. And I think they don't realize that they're jesting and they're just like, ha ha ha. No, I'm fine with telling my daughter that if she did not let me put eye drops in her eyes when she was young, that her eyeball was going to fall out. That's fine. That's me saying that to her. Let me tell you something. She pried her eyelids right open. But that's different than telling your child that police over there is going to arrest you, or that firefighter is going to let your house burn if you don't behave. It's like, don't do that. Don't say that. It's the worst possible thing that you can say. And I think having SROs in the school, as an example, for elementary schools even, it starts to establish the nice rapport and the relationship, and to making them a mentor that they can go to and talk, about, and realize that the police officer will help you if you're lost, or they will help you rather than they will discipline you. And I think,
they're
they
not
will
allowed to discipline through the MOU, but I know what you're saying.
Yes. And I think that's how it starts, because a lot of, the mistrust or whatnot has been fermented, unfortunately, by Democrats, because they seem to champion the wrong thing. I mean, when we have people that revere whatever, George Floyd,
Revere,
yeah. I was like, is it Revere? Because but when you have like George Floyd and they burnt down cities in the name of George Floyd. They burnt down people's businesses in the name of George Floyd.
Their own people.
Yes.
They ruined their own neighborhoods.
No, they didn't. You know why? Because it was the paid agitators that are part of this whole coalition that aim to sit there and demolish the morals and the characters of laws in this country. Most of those people that go in there are paid agitators. They're not the people of the neighborhood. Yes, they will have some that are part of the neighborhood that get caught up in it, but the majority of them are paid agitators that don't even live where they're doing this.
You know, I got just a funny story. I was asked to do an undercover assignment, and I was actually brought in. I can't even remember by who, ATF or something like that. And it was in Boston, like Kendall Square, and there's a bunch of anarchists. And I was supposed to go in and kind of mix in with a group with a couple other people. And at that point, I knew nothing about politics. I was like, I don't even know what to say. I'll tell you, I was more nervous to go into that because I didn't know what to say than if I was going to go,
Do it
inside
by.
someone's house. Yeah, to go do it by. I just remember and I came out of that and I was like, man, I better start following politics a little bit if I want to keep doing undercover work with anarchists.
But I mean, the anarchists
Right.
can be the most, because anarchists are equivalent. I mean, Antifa, they're anarchists. They want to destroy, any type of common sense, laws, civilization, whatever. And what frustrates me the most when it comes to Antifa, and I don't know, people might agree with me. I know I agree with myself. Is the first thing I want to do, when I see Antifa is I want to rip their friggin' masks off their face, and then I want to punch them in the face, and then I want to take a shield and like slap them across their face, and then I want to take a brick like they did with.
We're going
I
down
mean,
a really angry hole here.
yes, but this is how I feel when I see them. It's like they're cowards, and I abhor cowards.
I know.
All right, and the fact that they hide behind masks, and they know that whatever facial recognition or whatever you want to say, but they hide behind these masks. They literally torture and torment innocent people that are like walking down the streets, that have the right to protest just as much as they do, and they use violence to intimidate you. And I'm like, no, sorry, like, no, it's not going to happen.
I'm waiting for a solid Republican to get into office that will actually write a bill to make any attacks on or ambush on police officers an act of domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
And I believe masks should be outlawed when you protest. Because if you're committing crimes, you shouldn't be allowed. You're supposed to peacefully protest.
Yeah.
And they're purposely being anonymous and hurting people.
Did they change the definition of peaceful protest, or is that only for Democrats that are protesting?
It's only for Democrats, of course. But
did I ever tell you when I was in the UK? We were in London, and we were at Westminster Abbey, and across the street was where all the people that was like capitalism must die and all that stuff, whatever. What do you think I did?
Tell me. I throw potatoes.
No, I didn't throw anything. Did I happen to heckle them very loudly?
Oh, I love you.
Yes, I did. I was like, my eldest was like, Mom, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. And I'm like, capitalism's great. You guys suck. and then there was a lady. We were in a luggage place, and I probably shouldn't have said it, but I did anyways. And we were in a luggage place, and there was a woman that was in a full burqa, mesh and everything, and she had a really nice handbag. And I'm like, you realize that
was it a Birkin to go with her burqa?
Probably. No, I think it was like a Louis Vuitton. But anyways, I said to her, I looked at her and I go, her husband's standing right next to her, because at that point I probably had a couple drinks, don't give a shit. And I said, you know what? I said, you really shouldn't have to wear that. That's a very oppressive outfit. I would protest having to wear something like that, right? And oh my God, the look I got from the guy, the glare, whatever. And I was like, I'm out of here. But I'm like, really? It's like 200 degrees out. Aren't you hot? So first of all, why do you even have to have a mesh? So I'm like, they roll up the little thingies and then it goes over their mesh. That's how they're able to sit there and like sit when they want to eat. They have to roll up the panel that's part of their head cover, and then they can eat. I'm like, are you mother effing kidding me?
Well, I remember there was this show, and I can't remember what station it was on, but it was in Saudi Arabia when women were first allowed to get their license. And these women, even though they were fully covered, you could even see the class distinction with the jewelry and the amount of intricacy that was in the burqa, in the head scarves. and the makeup. I mean, these women were absolutely beautiful, and they took us through the whole, like learning how to drive. Um, even in that society where they, try to cover the women, there was still a hierarchy there, and the cars were beautiful as well.
Yeah.
But that whole thing is kind of scary to, you know, not, like, you go to Boston, or you go to the beach and you see people letting it all, that maybe shouldn't. Um,
But the nudie beach over on Martha's Vineyard that Julie and Sarah love so much.
okay, so can we just switch gears really quickly here? So, um, was it last year, maybe 2 years ago, this woman who, I don't know if she was like a sex doctor, I forget what she was, but she put forth a bill in Nantucket to have all the beaches be topless. So, whatever, I think it's inappropriate. I mean, I wouldn't want to bring my twin, now they're old enough but I wouldn't want to bring my young twins to the beach and have them be like, oh, real boobies. You know how little boys are, right? And I wouldn't
They'd be like, how come those are like to your knees?
whatever, right? Like, it just opens up a whole other can of worms. But so Avangrid had a broken windmill, whatever you want to call it, and all the beaches in Nantucket were closed. Every beach, because there was fiberglass, running up on the beach. It was, this Portnoy is his name. He lives on Nantucket, and he was saying that he believes that the company should
David
reimburse all the people.
Barstool Sports Presidente.
Yep.
Father of Papa to Miss Peaches, the dog. I love Miss Peaches, by the way.
Oh, of course. And of course, he spoke up and said, but what about these people that, there's not all rich people over in Nantucket.
No.
We know from campaigning over there that there's like regular, people just like us that would want to go to the beach on a beautiful summer day. And what about the plankton? Are they ingesting these shards of glass or shards of
or the whales or the fish?
And then the whales eat the plankton, and we're seeing these whales wash up on shore. And I'll tell you, there is nothing more. I haven't seen whales, but I've seen the dolphins wash up on shore. When I was, on duty, and it is so sad to see these things like wailing and crying and dying. There's just something majestic about those dolphins and those little whales. I don't know what it is, but it's such a connection.
Yeah.
And the highest elevation on Cape Cod is actually Joint Base Cape Cod. So why they wouldn't put, a wind farm there, it doesn't make any sense. And I don't know if they would have to pay. I mean, it's still government land. I don't know what the issue is, but it just seems...
that other piece fell off too, as well. The one that was hanging there, apparently.
Yeah. And Portnoy said it should be a one strike and you're out. And I agree with him. I mean, we have people who make their living on oyster farms. They make their living catching fish.
Yep.
I love seafood. I know you don't, but I love seafood. And, living on the Cape gives me access to all kinds of seafood.
I like seafood as much as I like rare steak.
I know. I wish. Well, maybe you'll try it when we're on vacation this summer.
I will not.
What about swordfish?
Nope. Nope. Don't even ask. Not happening.
But swordfish has the consistency.
Not happening. Do not like it. Nope. Not happening.
If I blindfold you.
Nope. Not happening.
Well, so
do not like. Will not try.
So we are hoping to go to the next convention, aren't we?
I mean, seriously, people look out if we get there, because when I went to the Western Conservative Summit, I was in Denver. I mean, I met Stacy and Jody literally for the first time. We had an absolute blast, but it was interesting because we all took turns doing the interviews. And where I found I was really good at is I went and found people to come talk with us. I literally walked right up to Raheem Kassam and said to him, "Hey, can you come and come to our interview, whatever?" And I interrupted him. I think he was speaking with I don't even know. He could have been speaking with Carly Fiorina or something. I don't know. But you know me, I'll go up and interrupt anybody. I don't care.
Right.
And we had the best interview with Raheem and Ben Quigley. I can't remember his last name. He used to be the chairman of the Bow Group out of the UK. And I mean, we got so many people that were coming by and being interviewed by us. And there was this big, huge radio, these couple of ladies. I don't even know what the name of the show was, but they're like looking at us like, how are you getting all these people? We were getting, oh God, it was so long ago. Can't even remember half the names, but they literally, I think Rick can tell you, we had the entire interviews, like the entire time we were there. I think we went straight on the air for like about 4, 5, 6 hours where we were
Yeah.
just nonstop interviewing. It was crazy because we were just getting so many people because it was our shining personalities, of course. And the fact that I was going up grabbing people, come on over to our table. Here's our card. I mean, we had people. Oh, I thought it was going to be, we double booked even people, and they waited so they could talk with us,
Yeah, I think that would be. And
it
I
was
know who we're gonna
great.
That's
know who
because
we're gonna
off air
take.
you were always like, you're going to come talk to us or else.
Yes, I know that. But
How
I'm like,
excited are we that Caroline Leavitt is Trump's press secretary?
I think she's doing a great job. I
think
really
she is.
think she's doing a good job. She's very well spoken. She gets what his message is across. I think Trump, the only thing I will say that I thought Trump's speech, obviously he wrote his own speech. It was a great speech, but he's really come up with some really good lines that stick with you. Like, I took a bullet for democracy. That is something they can never take away.
Right.
Okay. That is a line that is, it's horrific, of course, that he ever has to say it, but it stays with you. It completely stays with you. Like when he talked about the chart, when he said, this is the first time I actually saw this chart before. And that's when he said, before I took the bullet for democracy.
Right.
We could be having a whole different conversation today.
But I think it's changed him for the better. I hate to say that, but
I think
you know what I mean.
His
I don't
speech
mean
was
it with
somber.
any maliciousness. Yes.
Towards the end, though, he started to get a little feisty again, and then they were feisty a little bit. I think they're being very careful with their words because, unlike the Democrats, and I can already see the Democrats are sliding, they're all starting to go back to their fear-mongering language.
But how about this with JD Vance? You talk about the crowd. How about they're like, JD's mom, JD's mom.
Oh, I know.
JD's mom. It was awesome. It was like
I loved his Mama or Mima or whatever her name was.
Yeah,
I would love to have met her.
What did
Holy
she call
mackerel.
him? Mama.
Mama.
He's like, and it's funny because I had watched the show the night before with my friend Kiki, and we were sitting here and we were watching it. And
Kentucky, was it Kentucky what?
No, it was Hillbilly Elegy.
Oh yeah. What the hell is LG anyways?
I don't know.
I
don't know. It's like I don't really know. I didn't bother to look it up.
Yeah.
But they probably couldn't just say hillbilly because that would be silly. But when his mama says, I'll tell you, if I find you, those boys selling drugs, I will run them over with my car and ain't nobody going to find out.
That one cracked me up. But then also the fact that she had 19 guns in various places in the house, so that she always had a gun within arm's reach in case anyone tried to break in.
Just like my own.
I thought that was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, she must have been quite the woman.
You have to be prepared, right? She was ready to, those country women, they are fiercely protective of their family. Fiercely. I mean, you just don't mess with Mama's family because she will take you out and bury you. And when the police come knocking her door, she'll be making them tea and crumpets. And, you don't cross the Mamas in those parts of the, world. Speaking of that, my niece just got accepted, or she was accepted to the state of Montana University.
Nice.
And I'm dying to go out there. I just want to say, Cassidy, if you're listening, congratulations. Auntie No loves you. So I used to tickle them all the time. They'd be like, Auntie, no, Auntie, no. So that's how I got the name Auntie No. That's why I'm dying to go to Montana. I've always wanted.
I would love to go to Montana.
I always wanted to go out that way. All right, so let's swing a little bit into some Massachusetts politics. It looks like Unfortunately, Shauna O'Connell, the mayor of Taunton, was arrested and arraigned for domestic violence.
Well, you probably
Um,
would get arrested if you hit your husband with whatever it was, some
a
tool or something,
crowbar.
right?
You know,
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
listen, I'm just wondering
I'm
what he did.
sorry.
What did he do? I can think of a number of things
crowbar.
he did. But
I mean,
if
she's
he's
the
not,
mayor, for goodness sake. What, a crowbar? I don't want to laugh,
no,
but I'm going to.
But and if
He must have
obviously
done something good.
he must have. I can probably, first of all, if he cheated, I would be like, oh, don't get mad, Sean. It's like 2 less things you have to do in a week. You can fill your schedule with other stuff.
Go shopping or something. But oh my God, she hit him with a crowbar. Oh
For the
boy.
crowbar. So they're bringing this is the clicker. Okay, so they're bringing in a special prosecutor who's Daniel Bennett. Okay, he was a former executive public safety officer, and he is also partners with the former Kerry Gilpin, colonel of the state police, in this company that they have called Comprehensive Investigation
Oh
Consulting, or
geez.
whatever. And she of course screwed the hell up out of my sexual harassment case. But so they do a lot of work for the government. So of course they're going to send in the special prosecutor for Shauna, who's on our team.
Why doesn't she I'm sorry, but you hit your husband with a crowbar, regardless. That's a crime. You should be obviously stepping down.
A special prosecutor. I mean, why bring? You really going to bring this to trial? Like, just deal with it privately. Somebody's got to move out or do something. But so,
well, I mean, it depends on how injured the guy is. Was he hospitalized?
Well, I think it was her car that took the most damage. He got sliced, but I got to give it to Shauna. I mean,
he got
a crowbar. A crowbar? What?
I mean,
why did she have a crowbar in her hand?
Well, he was. That's a good question.
Because those are typically in the trunk.
I mean, that's almost frightening to think about it.
She keeps one by for protection. Right?
Maybe she has it in a car or something like that. I don't know. That's a good question.
But so people were criticizing Jay McMahon.
We don't advocate for violence. We just want everybody to know.
But I mean, you have to just picture this woman
on bleach blonde on top of the roof of her husband's car, smashing it with a crowbar. I mean, I would have paid money for pictures of that, and then I would have said,
someone has to have pictures of it,
depending on what you did. You know what I mean? Like, what could be so bad?
Well, I mean,
and like I said, the only thing I can think of would be infidelity, and I'd be like, you got 2 less things to do that week.
Well,
go have drinks with your friends. But,
that's true.
So anyway, so the point is, people were kind of deriding Jay McMahon because he was defending Shauna O'Connell. But Jay, he lost his son to addiction. Shauna O'Connell's daughter disappeared from an addiction facility. God bless her. I hope that she's better. So, if Shauna's going to reach to Jay, I have no issues with that. Jay's a compassionate person. He's a very good attorney. This is a high profile case for him. Nobody wants something like this aired out in the public. And when we forget that these people too
have lives.
They have lives and they have emotions and they have damages.
Unless you're Kamala Harris, and then I don't give a shit.
Right, but I mean, they're humans and they do have their. The one thing I didn't like, though, that Shauna said was, my husband called the police and now he regrets it. Well, if you hadn't whacked him with the crowbar, he wouldn't have called the police.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say? Usually there's a reason.
Yeah, but, feisty, right? And, of course, they were in court holding hands.
Or violent.
Huh?
Or violent. I mean,
you have to look at the flip side. He could be a battered husband as well. So, we don't know what has happened behind those closed doors. We don't know if this is a pattern of her abusing him. So
Well,
yeah, I'm being flip when I'm saying, obviously, but we don't know. So,
no, we don't know
and
anything
and
about
we
it.
all know how many times battered women will say they want to drop the charges, and everything's great, he's wonderful, he didn't mean to do it, or whatever, and they end up getting killed. So I think, she I would be curious to know what the reason is. And again, this is all going based on the fact we don't know if he's a battered husband. If he's not a battered husband and he did something stupid and she hit him with a crowbar, and she might not have meant to hit him with a crowbar, she probably was trashing his car. I really don't know.
I'll reserve comment on that. Yeah,
I'm trying
but
to be open-minded.
do you think that will end her job as mayor?
Is she a Democrat?
She's Republican. More
It
progressive.
might. If
More
she
of
was
a progressive.
if she was a Democrat, I would say she'd probably end up winning governor next election, because
Right.
Democrats end up, the worse you do, or the more shit that you do, you end up getting promoted. If you're a Republican, they usually take the honorable way out and either resign, or they get forced
Tom
out the
Mountain
door.
doesn't. Tom Mountain got caught,
Pedophile Mountain.
14-year-olds that they were sexy, and the few people out of the state committee refused to vote him out, and he says, I was hacked and I'm going to be vindicated. Okay, well, what happened, Tom? And you know what? Tom Mountain is part of the Massachusetts committees. So, I had asked to be part of the law enforcement committee, but I would have had to deal with this perv Tom Mountain. So why would I want to put my name next to this guy who's telling 13-year-old girls they're sexy? It goes against every single grain of my body.
Right.
And then Mike Arnold and I were called extremists that are trying to get rid of progressive Republicans in Massachusetts. And this is someone from the Trump campaign, Bradford Johnson, who didn't. Another friend of ours from Western Mass had said, if you need help on the Cape, Daryl and Haywood and Michael Arnold will help you. And he said, no, they're insurrectionists. And
Jesus.
It was just like absolutely crazy. So you have people kind of, giving the Heisman to people who would volunteer for the Trump campaign, and alienating a lot of people that would join but have left because of the progressives that are, somehow representing Trump in Massachusetts. But I really think he could fill Gillette.
Oh God, I'm sure he could fill it easy.
I think he could fill
He'd
Gillette.
get all the people that would come down from New Hampshire, from Maine. I mean, when he's done all the ones in New Hampshire, they have a lot of people that are coming up from Massachusetts. Obviously, you slept in a tent. I would never go that far, but anyways.
I'm probably still ostracized from my friends because I hadn't slept the night before. So when I got up there, I was like, wait, we're not sleeping at the hotel. And I literally could not keep my eyes open. I tried to sleep in the tent. I ended up going back to the hotel to sleep for like 2 hours or whatever. But I need sleep. I can go a couple of days without sleep, right? But after 2 days, I used to do that when I was on the state police. You'd do details, you'd work a shift, you go do another detail. You don't, sometimes you don't sleep for, a day or two.
But they always say the funnest people are the ones, that, and this is what a lot of, they try to portray anybody that goes to these Trump rallies or whatever as extremists or whatever, but they're the most fun-loving, happy people.
I never laughed
in those lines
in my life. It was better than any concert I ever went to. It was funny.
You have to experience it, is it's like nothing. I don't, there's nothing comparable to it when you experience the rally. It's not like he's like a god or anything like that. It's just the people are just so excited and they're happy and they, believe in a lot of what he says that he wants to do. And he has done. I don't care how many times Biden and his disciples and Kamala try to say that Trump did nothing and they inherited everything. That's bullshit. Bullshit. We know what it was like We weren't born yesterday. We experienced it 7 years ago, 8 years ago. We know what our bank accounts look like. We know what the job prospects were. We know what the interest rates were, and we know how much we paid for gas and how much we paid for milk. No matter how much they try and twist it, they cannot change that. And then for them to, when the stock market did great under Trump, they were like, "Oh, it's just for the rich people." Yet here's the same people saying, "Oh, the stock market is doing great, so everybody has to be doing great." No,
Well, not everybody has has money in the stock market either.
exactly, and it's so frustrating.
But oh, what do you and Rick, chime in on this? What are how surprised are you that the Teamsters came out and spoke at the Republican convention?
Well, it's one Teamster, right?
Well, he's the
Well, it was the
he's
head of the
union
Teamsters.
president.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I mean,
And he
he's
works
the
for
man.
Shaughnessy and Ahern. Did you hear that?
Yeah, but he's the man. And you know, and it's funny because I had said this when I first, you know, got into politics, and I said I don't understand why the Republicans aren't catering to the Teamsters, because a lot of the people in the Teamsters, I mean, they contribute a lot of money to dues, and they have to have political dues taken out as well.
A lot of money.
It's like $1
Political
billion.
Well, part of it though is because the rank and file members, a lot of those do vote Republican, but the leadership has never even set foot in the GOP convention before. This has never happened before. And I think part of the reason why it is happening now, because he didn't endorse, and he'll probably speak at the DNC too. He'd be stupid not to. But he is starting to recognize that because Teamsters, they're the ones that drive trucks and make things. So their businesses are dying or being shipped overseas because of Democrat policies.
Right. And the
That-
Democrats have
why it
used
is.
their money that they collect for dues to invest in these leftist ideologies that the unions haven't agreed to have their money go to, in some, and oftentimes don't know that their money is
That
being
happens with everything, though. Look at whoever your cellular provider is, and look what they do with your money. Because I guarantee you probably won't like it.
I can remember like what I thought was really interesting was the rally that he just had, Trump just had in Michigan. He actually had a member of United Auto Workers that got up and spoke and said, you know, vote for Trump. You know, the leadership hates Donald Trump with a passion, the United Auto Workers, but not the rank and regular workers. They don't. They support. I mean, for him to get the amount of people that were in line for, you know, Grand Rapids, Michigan, it was impressive the amount of people that showed up for that rally.
Yeah,
It-
what's
you
the
know.
demographics of Republicans in Detroit, especially after that huge
Maybe 10% versus 90%. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Detroit, but here is the difference. You had Donald Trump met with a lot of the religious leaders in Detroit when he had that roundtable with them that no Democrat has ever done. They've never bothered to go, as he said, into the hood. And he went into the hood and he met with them. And I think if Donald Trump does more of this in the various cities, like if he does it in Chicago and all that stuff, that's where the impact happens. You know, you reach out to the local voters directly instead of just presuming, you know, oh, they're just going to vote for me anyways, or they're not going to vote for me. You don't
Well, that's
know
like
that.
the Biden. If you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black. And these are the kind of identity politics that I can't stand. Like Harris went to P-Town to basically say that no Republicans like gay people. It's just so divisive, and they're always been the ones that, oh, we need unity in this and that, but they don't. Even the Republican Party doesn't want unity. So how do we think that the Democrats are going to want unity?
I mean, I think what I saw at the when they had the different various people that were speaking at the RNC, they hit pretty much all of the, you know, the different groups that they wanted to include. You know, I thought Amber Rose, granted, yes, she has a checkered past, but her father challenged her. He said, you need to research it yourself. And when she researched it herself, she realized that she's been lied to. All it takes is a little research to
Yeah,
find
well,
out what the truth is.
I don't know if you guys can see the screen or not, but I found this from X and I about died. It's at Cluffalo, otherwise known as Allie. Ladies, if he gives mixed signals for months, breaks up via text, ghosts so intensely you don't know if he's alive or dead, that's not your man. That's your current president.
Oh. So,
Weekend at
Di,
Bernie's.
so I just got a call from Captain Jim. He said, "So did you watch those Secret Service Operation shit show today on C-SPAN? I think the woman is fear for her life." So he deals with a lot of those, Delta
So,
guys.
do you think we need to have Captain Jim come on our show next week to see if we can get some of the, information and hopefully we might, get out of him?
Oh yeah, what a great guy though. I
He
mean,
is.
and most of our friends who are CIA retired, the Secret Service or FBI or whatever, they have no interest in. I've asked them. I knew that they would say no, but they said that it would. Those people can't really, even when they're retired, it's really hard for them to speak out unless they have a really high, some pull somewhere, because one, nobody wants to give out the secrets of what they're supposed to do, but I think everybody saw what a debacle that was. And here's what I say: like, if things are so screwed up on a national level, imagine what they're like in your town hall. Imagine what
Yeah.
it's like in your schools.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's I don't think.
I would say yes and no, and here's why I'm going to say not necessarily, because there's been a push for a lot of Republicans, and the push is to start at the local levels, and that's what a lot have been doing. So what you're finding is, as each election happens, when there's a seat that comes up, because they don't do all 5 seats at once, you'll notice it's always staggered, all right? So a change is something that could take 3 years, because obviously you want to get a majority on a board. That could take 3 to 4 years for that to actually happen, which is why it's not as noticeable right now, which is why you want to get people to run. And, I'll use the example of, Canton. I know that they had the issue with the chief of police. They had 2 people that ran.
She hit
Only
someone.
one got elected. Yeah, I know she did.
She hit someone in her
And
car.
she got a 3. See, this is what you talk about. She's a Democrat, and she gets a promotion and gets a 3-year contract.
But she hit somebody and didn't tell anybody.
I know.
And get this, she's the executive director for the Massachusetts Women in Law Enforcement. Cut it out, ladies. Why? Why is she still there? She hit a pedestrian in her company car in a different town and did not report it.
And here's the thing that I'm very surprised over is the fact that the most normal boards would have put them on paid administrative leave while an investigation occurred. Okay? Because who's going to pay for that if she was using the cruiser that she got from Canton?
Oh,
it's
the
going to
town.
be
The town.
Taxpayers are going to pay for it. Granted,
Exactly.
they'll say, "Oh, it's the insurance company." No, the taxpayers will pay for
And
it.
here's Molly celebrating the executive director who ran somebody over.
It's
ran
insane.
somebody over in her chief's car, in a police car,
and he got injured too.
Yeah, he was 67 years old.
And she never reported it.
Tell anybody.
Did she report it to the insurance company? Did she report it to the town administrator?
Well, she didn't report it for quite some time to anybody.
That's crazy stuff. That's crazy.
She's also the same one. She's also the same person that said, if we find someone has forged the petition, we're going to charge them with 267-1.
Oh, God, that's right.
267-1 is crimes against currency. It's like if I sign a mortgage fraudulently.
God knows there's plenty of people down there that do that, we know.
Yeah, it's just, it's crazy.
It's, what is it? The rules for thee, but not for me or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that the dual tier of justice and laws and
Canton Police Chief Helena Rafferty was cited at the time for failing to yield to a pedestrian in a crosswalk. Hello. Rentham Police, was she shopping at the Rentham malls? Rentham Police released photos of Rafferty's town-owned Ford Explorer that was involved in the pedestrian crash on February 16th. Rafferty said she was driving home about 6:30, attempting to make a left-hand turn from South Street in Rentham. She said she hit the brakes but struck 67-year-old Michael Barry of Rentham, who was walking with a cane. He was knocked to the ground and suffered a cut to the head. A witness said Rafferty immediately got out of her SUV, assisted Barry until first responders arrived, and transported him to the hospital. Like, the ambulance didn't take him to the hospital. And then, of course, she wanted a breathalyzer. So now she has nothing to blame it on, because she was totally sober and hit this poor guy in a crosswalk. And she said in her statement, I immediately notified Canton officials as to what happened. This was an unfortunate accident. Upon further reflection and consideration, and the amount of attention as focused on Canton, I should have issued a statement sooner. So you didn't immediately tell them. So I don't understand.
oh no, I'm sure she probably told them immediately, and they thought, oh yeah, it'll go away.
Like everything else in Canton.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I don't know if you heard, but Netflix is going to be creating a 3-part documentary on the Karen Reed case.
Well, her new trial is supposed to start January 27th.
If it starts, because August is when they have to do the motion for dismissal first, though.
Well, where are they going to get a jury?
I don't know. Maybe they'll go to New Hampshire and I'll be on the jury.
Well, you better dumb it down when you get there.
Yeah, I know. I think Karen Reed, I'm not quite sure. I really don't know anything about the case whatsoever. Meanwhile, Gabby is like glued to the TV every single day, giving me updates.
Oh,
it's all the same charges.
Charges.
It's what?
It's all the same charges.
Well, I mean, they're doing the motion to dismiss 2 of the charges that supposedly the jury said that they found her unanimously not guilty. And then it might be just 1 charge. Because that's what they're going for.
Yeah, I
To
don't.
do the motion to dismiss. So, I just think that, I mean, Massachusetts is a little crazy. You have the mayor that beats her husband with a crowbar. You have freaking, crazy corrupt select boards. You have, crazy corrupt police officers like all over the place.
You have town managers calling workers right-wing extremists that are vaccinated. You have an eviscerated financial department, and it's just like there's so much corruption that I just don't. I honestly wish sometimes that I didn't know what I know, because it's so frustrating. But if you run for anything, you will find out just how corrupt people will break the votes on you. They they will do everything they can to keep you from getting ahead, and then they put other candidates, and this is the thing with this unwritten rule Republicans, is they put up candidates that they know are going to lose, because everyone
absolutely.
The quote consultants make money from them, the campaign managers make money from them, the people that they tell to buy the newspapers make money from them. And there's got to be some sort of election reform, because look at Julian Sear has $237,000 cash on hand.
Yeah.
And the Republican has 32,000 or 38,000, which is good, a good amount to raise, but not when you compare the two. And then he also, the Democrat,
not when like 4,000 to 6,000 are from family members, but I digress.
Right, but then the Democrat who was allowed to stay there, and the state Republican people never ran anyone against him. So now he's enmeshed in that whole corrupt system, and he's got a total other PAC with probably millions of dollars in it. And it's sad that our people, that their citizens, are not educating themselves enough to know what is actually the motivation. And I hope these dead whales washing up, and I hope people being pushed out of their homes in, these, now they're trying to raise our excise tax here on Cape Cod so that they can pay for the illegals that are in, housing that they said was going to be for Americans. And now, of course, they are changing their tune to make them, sober homes for illegals, but their whole entire families.
Did you go to Sam, who was on our show last week, the event that he had Friday night?
No, I had sun poisoning so bad.
Oh no.
I could not even move. Honestly. But
I was kind of curious. Maybe we'll have to have. Did Carrie go to it?
Well, I spoke to Carrie and she said that she might pop in at the 9:30 hour, but I haven't heard from her so far. I think she was at another event, but I know that she was excluded. There was a
Press conference.
There's a press conference with Susan Conley and someone else, and they didn't include Carrie, which you would hope that they would, and for what I'm hearing secondhand, not from Carrie, but that they wouldn't allow her to speak. And I'm surprised that Suzanne Conley would exclude another woman, but I don't know. It's just there's no unity in the Republican Party here.
Well, I just want to say that I really chuckled really hard that the person that's running against Julian Sear put a press release out or whatever it was, how he had more donations into his campaign than Julian Sear did, and the reason I laughed hysterically is because the fool, because that's pretty much what he is, has no idea, as you said, that Julian Sear has that super PAC, Friends of Julian Sear, that has literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. And that's where all his money goes to.
Millions.
Yeah, and that's where all his money goes to. So he just does a little transfer into his little OCPF account. Meanwhile, you got Chumley over here saying, I outraised him. Really?
Right.
$4,000 of that money you outraised them came from your relatives, so I digress. I mean, seriously, and you did a press release for this. I mean, come on.
Well,
I'm sorry, but
that's
if this is what the Mass GOP can put forth as a candidate, milquetoast, because that's what this candidate is milquetoast. Literally, he reminds me of Eeyore, because that's exactly what it's like when he talks. It's Eeyore. And I can say that. You might not be, but I will. I mean, literally, the guy is the biggest bore that ever hit this planet. I mean, anyways, I won't get into his, anyways, we'll just move on from that. But to put out a press release for that. Meanwhile, you got the windmill breaking. You got friggin',
but somebody got paid for that press release, okay? And that's
big bucks. Apparently, they paid $5,000. He's been paying $5,000, anywhere between $2,500. All right, let's just say $1,500 to $5,000 a month to this place, which is stupid. I mean, I'd be demanding my money back because it's you can't make an Eeyore Winnie the Pooh, okay? You just can't do it. You can't do it. He has about as much excitement as watching, a caterpillar walk across the room. I mean, that's literally no. It's
so
Eeyore.
Captain Jim is free. How do we bring him in?
Right now?
Yeah.
You'd have to send him the link that you came in on.
Okay.
You gonna try and get him in?
I'm gonna try. I just don't know if I can do the link without making.
Well, Rick, can you bring Captain Jim in?
No, I can't. Not. So whoever, if you have a DM with him or whatever, all you've got to do is drop the same link that I already sent you guys.
Okay.
I mean, or I can do it if you, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you right now.
Who are you sending it to, Rick?
Yeah.
Oh.
You can't send it over your phone. I can't do it from my phone.
Oh, send it through Twitter?
Yes, it won't work from my phone. It's not connected to the computer.
Okay.
And I can't do it from my phone because then I will lose connection.
You're the one who did it the last time. So yes, actually you could have.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
I
you
told
did.
Darylyn she had to go into Twitter.
You're
Because
the one. You're the one who brought in the second guest last time.
I don't remember. You're asking me to remember things from a week ago. I can't even remember yesterday. I can't
Okay.
remember yesterday.
Should I just start? Should I just change your nickname to Biden now?
Listen.
Oh, yucky.
Down a
Dingo.
fight in words, buddy.
Oh,
Do
man.
not make me reach right through this phone.
Whatever, Mom.
I'll
Don't make
hurt
me.
you.
Don't make me pull this podcast over.
So I'm trying to copy it, but I don't want to like get put on twice.
Just
So
send me his @ or whatever, and I can send him the link.
okay. Alrighty. Well, keep chatting.
So, Rick, what are your thoughts on Kamala v. Trump?
Well, I'm gonna say the same thing I've been saying all day. We still have a really good chance of pulling this thing off if we can stay on message. But I don't care whether he's showing to be 20 points up or 20 points down in the polls. Vote like your life and your livelihood depend on it, because they do.
Yes, exactly.
I
And
will
I
also
was very glad.
I've also noticed the new marching orders are out. So now DEI is the new N-word, y'all. So get ready for it.
Again, but
Yep.
all the corporations have gotten rid of it. So basically, Microsoft got rid of it. Colleges are now getting rid of it. They're removing everything. So she's going to have a big battle on her hands for that. People are tired of it.
Well, it's because it's not working. I mean, it's making everything fall apart.
Yeah, they're
honestly,
fatigued. And if she's going to try and bring DEI back, there's going to be even more resistance to it.
well,
And
I
one
mean,
thing,
the thing about that is, though, it's nobody realized that it was doing what it was supposed to do. It was making our entire industries fall apart, because then the government gets to swoop in and say, well, since y'all can't run them right, we're going to take them all over.
yeah, well, I think a prime example of DEI is that Secret Service head.
Oh, come
And
on.
people aren't liking that.
Let's not start throwing stones at Secret Service Barbie just because she couldn't holster her weapon in a crisis.
Oh, we got Darylyn and I, we dropped that into like the Women for Trump, and 99% of the women that were in there were like ragging on this chick. And then you had the couple that were like, she was doing her job, and Darylyn was like, yeah, no, she wasn't. we had fun on that page yesterday. And we were like, seriously? I said, I'm sorry. She froze, so she doesn't belong there. Plain and simple. And I'd be saying it if it was a man. Unreal.
Well, I mean, someone's saying that they were Homeland Security, like desk jocks, but then, shame on Cheadle, suspect number one, if that is true. I mean, it just seems like it was a plan. It wasn't a mistake. It went just how they wanted it to go.
Oh, yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't, normally I'm not one for tinfoil hats. All right, yes, I am, because I actually like them. But anyways, I 100% believe that there's more to this than meets the eye, that this 20-year-old kid with 3 encrypted overseas account, phone numbers or whatever, and then we're supposed to trust the leadership of the FBI and the ATF and the CIA and whoever else. We're supposed to believe them, and then we have to pivot back to the 50 intelligence agents that sent that letter about the Russia misinformation laptop, which is legit true. Every single thing they said 4 years ago, 8 years ago, that they all said was that they poo-pooed and said, oh, it's misinformation. It has all been true, from COVID to the fucking laptop to this to that. Everything has been true. So why on earth would we trust anything that the leadership would say? Rank and file, yes. Any day of the week, rank and file, but not the leadership. They're corrupt.
But why would they take someone who's left the agency, been with Pepsi, and now bring her back to the agency?
Because she's BFS with Joe Biden.
Right, exactly. And, we complain about nepotism and cronyism all the time. And like I said, when they hired that felon, Rick Corey, hey, I understand you have power and privilege. And if you want to give your friend $100,000 job, can you just make sure that they're trained up to do what they're supposed to do and not put other people in danger?
No, and instead they hired a piece of crap. But think back to when they were going to be revamping most of the government computers back when Obama was in office. And they awarded the contract to Michelle Obama's, one of her close friends, whatever. And they created such a mess and overruns. And I don't even think they ever finished the job.
Well, it's
But
the
they
same thing
got
with the state
billions of
police.
dollars. Yeah, they got billions of dollars. And then, we found out, oh God, I think it must have been 2015 or 14 that, for example, the IRS was still using Windows 2003 or 7 maybe, and it was 2016 or 15. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, it's insane how much money that the government wastes, and nothing's ever done of it, even though it's exposed every year, and nothing changes. So
Okay, you might want to let him know I sent the link over because he hasn't responded yet.
Okay. Let me see. I sent the link too. He's at J Staples 22010.
You want to put that information out there?
He's on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, the problem is you didn't send me his Twitter information. You sent me his phone number, so I figured out a way to send it over there.
Oh, okay. No, I just sent him the link too. So
either way, he should have it. So just let him know either check Twitter or check text.
okay.
Just yes, because all I have to do is click on it and then write his name, right? Right.
Yeah.
Very easy peasy.
Yes.
You keep using those words. I do not think they mean what you think they mean.
Easy peasy?
Well, not for you anyway.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
I was used to be wakey, eggs and bakey.
All right. Actually, I think he tried to come in when I was trying to copy the link, and I thought I was at it. I thought I duplicated myself, but he's with you guys now.
Oh, hey, Jack.
Hi, Captain Jim.
Hey, can you hear me?
Here?
Captain Jim.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hear us?
Can you hear
We
me?
can hear you, sir. How
Well,
goes
good.
it on the
How are you?
maritime end? Everybody, this is Captain Jim. He is a terrorist expert, a mass maritime graduate, and he travels the world giving different sorts of privacy briefings and security briefings to various agencies. So let's hear, what's your take on the assassination attempt?
Well, that is a really big question.
It is.
Nothing like starting out great.
If you were going to have him on and ask him that question, we should have had him on an hour and a half ago.
Well, we didn't know where he was traveling. He probably just blew in from, Okie, whoever knows, Alaska.
Well, let me say hello.
Hello.
That's a great question, and I have. I wish I had some
I
definitive
was mortified.
information on what was going on, but like everybody else, I have lots of questions because of some of the basic things we saw fail, especially with the tactical side of things. But I watched the inquiry today on C-SPAN all day long. I watched it, and I watched the Secret Service leader give her depositions today and her answers and questions, and all I can think about is that this poor woman fears for her life right now because she's backed into a corner. A lot of bad things went wrong. She's definitely the leader of the group, and like a captain of a ship, you're always at fault when anything goes wrong. And I think there's a lot of answers there that she just can't talk about because of a lot of failure that happened within the agency for a lot of reasons.
Right.
And and when you see, and I'm not a tactical guy. That's not what I do. But when I look at things, and I've worked with people that are tactical, and I see things that are pretty basic to me, like number one, a rooftop, number one, a water tank. And when she was asked about the water tank and she couldn't answer the question if there was anybody on the water tank, And that water tank was fairly close too. It wasn't that far. And I am a shooter. I like to shoot, and that's not a far shot. So anybody that has any capability with a weapon, it was an easy shot. A lot of they put it into a lot of golf analogy, and it's like a chip shot, as they say. But it was an easy shot if you're a shooter, and timing's about everything when you're shooting. And if there was somebody on that water tank, then we need to find out who that was. And was it a spectator, or was it somebody that was up there that actually was the second shooter, as has been talked about. So I don't know. I don't know what happened, and I know it was a complete failure, and I know it was something that seems to be pretty basic for a Secret Service to be able to cover. But when something like this happens, we all look at it and say, how could something like this could happen with somebody like with a guy that's going to be probably the next president of the United States? So, there's a lot of questions
And I
here.
think, do you think people will be, much like 9/11? I know exactly where I was. It was a Tuesday. I had the desk. I was at the State Police South Yarmouth. And I remember when the first one hit, and I thought, wow, could someone really hit, where they having a medical emergency and they hit? But then when the second plane hit, I was like, whoa. And, started calling all my bosses, dumbfounded. And do you think this is much like people are going to remember where they were and what they were doing when President Trump was shot?
I do. I absolutely do. I do. And, I mean, I've been in front of Congress before, and, when they ask you questions, if you've got nothing to hide, you always answer the question. That's pretty basic. And she didn't answer questions. And that's what I kind of found pretty suspicious, that the questions she asked, she stayed with the direct protocol that they always give. And it wasn't a direct answer to a direct question. And a lot of the questions were yes or no. And she did not answer that in a yes or no question, which tells me that either she's hiding something or she's been told not to talk. And to me, she looked definitely like a deer in the headlights. That she's nervous, and she may be fearing for her life or her family's life. So
I
um,
certainly would be. And I'd be
I,
thinking I was a scapegoat.
I think she's way over her head. Whether this was a DEI promotion for her or not, I don't know. I don't know that much about her. I don't know that much about her background, and I know she's been with Secret Service for a long time. But what she did with Secret Service, I don't know. So you know, I don't want to point fingers at the poor woman and say it's all her fault, because obviously it isn't. But being a leader of the Secret Service, she is the head of the Secret Service, and she's going to have to take the hit. There's no doubt about that. But they have to find out why. Just because she's the head doesn't mean she's running the whole operation of the whole Secret Service. There's other people she depends on to make sure that they do their part of the job too. So there's a lot of people to be pointing fingers at here. The thing is that we almost lost a president, a past president, and maybe a former president. And how did this happen? I have seen
And we
YouTube,
lost a firefighter.
and
We lost a chief, a volunteer firefighter.
that's true. We lost an innocent civilian at the time. I have seen a video of this kid out that made notations that he did not like Republicans, he did not like conservatives, and he was the wrong guy. They got the wrong guy, is what he said. I've seen videos of that. So, what did he mean by that? Was there somebody else up in the water tower? I don't know. Was there another shooter? We don't know. So, those are the things that need to be answered. This was a lucky day. This was a lucky day that Trump survived that shooting. And we need to find out why there was such a great failure with the Secret Service, who are supposed to be very, very good at what they do, and they are. But why did they this day miss the situation? And it's pretty basic with that rooftop not being watched or
Can you
whatever.
imagine making a statement like it would be like you, Captain Jim, saying that ocean was too treacherous for us, or that ocean was too deep. We couldn't go through that channel. If you're going through Houthi pirate, it just seems to me that that roof is too steep is such a disingenuous statement.
No, exactly. It'd be like any professional who's at the top of their unit, whatever they do, is to say, well, it was this reason, or the tires weren't totally inflated in a patrol car. Whatever excuse you want to come up with, it doesn't matter. It's her job. She's the overall leader, and she's the top person at the Secret Service to make sure that this does not happen, and she has the right people in place to make sure that it doesn't happen. And when you see something so obvious as that rooftop and that tower, that water tower is being opened, it's like, you got to be kidding me. It's
And think
pretty.
about the amount of time that the people saw him walking around and all that stuff that they didn't find him.
Well, and the other questions too are all the explosives. What was that all about, right? Why did he have explosives? Why were they secondary explosives? Or what was the reason for all of that? If he's just there to shoot the president, okay, shoot, get it done. Take your position. But why would you have explosives too? There's a lot of things that the pieces of the puzzle just are not fitting here, and we're not getting the answers. And when I watch that whole hearing today, I'm just looking at a woman, and I'm looking at her and saying she fears something. There's something that she, in the back of her mind, there's something that she's saying, I can't say anything, and there's a reason why.
It's Arkansas. We determined it earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think she's definitely way over her head. I think it was definitely, and I don't want to say that, because she's a female, she's incompetent, because I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think that she may have been over her head, or that there were too many balls in the air at the time for her to handle. With the Biden thing being going on and something else happening, that had three major events going on, and they didn't have enough people to handle it. I don't know. Maybe the Secret Service is short-handed. I don't know. But that needs to be looked at, but an open field with rooftops that aren't covered, that's a no-brainer.
And they didn't even send a grown up.
That's a
It's
no-brainer.
literally like putting your seatbelt on when you get in a car. You first look for rooftops that have a good angle on your target.
Well, and the other thing about the Iranians too, this isn't the first time the Iranians have been said they've been looking for Trump. That's been going on since the day he took Soleimani out. They want him for a long, long time. They've been talking about taking him out with drones. That's not a secret. That's been around for a long time. This is even before her time that they've been doing that. So, that's just an added precaution that they should have been aware of. But
Right,
again,
and maybe why they allowed so many people through the border so that someone could have access to Trump.
I mean, it's like anything, when you're in a high stress security situation, complacency sets in, and that threat with the Iranians has probably been there for a long time, and all of a sudden it becomes secondary, and it's not the threat they're looking at. When could it be? I don't know. We need to find out did this kid actually have accounts that were overseas? I don't know. So those are things that need to be looked into. But we're in times now where everybody needs to be vigilant, and that's the thing. And most Americans just live in this land where it's the greatest country in the world, and they think that they're safe all the time. But when you go to the grocery store, you go to school, or wherever, you need to be vigilant. You need to take responsibility for yourself, and to make sure that your surrounding and you're safe. And to take protocols for that, and not to be on the phone all the time when you're walking down the street. And unfortunately, that's how we are in this country, that we do not take our own safety precautions, and we rely on other people to keep us safe. But with all this defunding of the police, with the police departments getting defunded, and the police is shorthanded, you have to expect that crime's going to go up, and it is. And unfortunately, we do have the police there. I saw congresswomen that today were trying to relate this to regular shootings at schools and stuff, but yet those are the same people that defunded the police. They
Right.
wanted funding of the police, but yet they didn't bring that up. You defunded the police. So, yes, you're going to have more assaults and things happening. You need to take responsibility for your own safety. And people don't. And that's what needs to be done all the time. Police can't keep you safe all the time. CIA can't keep you safe. Secret Service can't keep you safe. You need to be aware of your surroundings at all time, every single day. Period.
Yeah. Our America is not what it was.
No, it's not the
And
America when I was a kid.
how do you feel about when people say like, "Oh, we're going to lose democracy if Trump becomes the president"?
I mean, and that's the thing. We're going to lose democracy. They just had a guy that won the Democratic side, and they had him throw it out. I mean, you talk
Yeah.
about losing democracy. That's losing democracy. Whether this guy's been incompetent for a long, long time. They knew it, and now they're saying that because all of a sudden could be because of this debate that he had a month ago. He's now incompetent. He can't be the next president of the United States and run. This is nothing but a bunch of crap, is what it is.
Yeah, it's scary.
It's real scary. They are taking democracy and throwing it out the window. This guy has won all the delegates. He has everybody behind him, and now they're saying no. They gotta pass it on to somebody else. The people didn't vote for this. Let the people take a vote. Let the United States people take a vote to see if Joe Biden should stay as president
Right.
and try to get to be president, rather than saying, okay, you can't run, you got to move on. Be the same thing as Donald Trump right now. If they said, okay, Trump, you can't run no more. We're going to put Joe Schmo in instead of you. You got to go. Even though you got all the delegates, you got to go. Adios. See you later, pal, because you can't tie your shoes. You got to go.
Right.
That's not the way it works. But yet,
Like they didn't know about it. Like they weren't committing this fraud on us this whole time.
This has been the plan all along. This is what it is. It's been a plan all over the American people, and they're not. They're not going to fool the American people. This is too obvious.
Do you think we're on the precipice of kind of an awakening for some Americans who, weren't really at the wheel, fully awake?
I think a lot of people are paying attention. I think they're starting to maybe understand and maybe do some research as to what's really happening and understanding what a republic democracy is all about and understanding the terminology that they use, that people are starting to research this and find out what is this country really about? What does it really mean to be a republic and a democracy? What does this mean? And I think that's where we're at right now, that people are starting to say, hey, wow, what have the Democrats done for us? As we saw Sean O'Brien, the president of the Teamsters, speak at the RNC, because he's not a Republican, he's a Democrat, but yet he's speaking at a Republican convention because things are changing. And that's why he's speaking. And he still hasn't been invited to speak at the Democratic convention. And this is the Teamsters of anybody,
Right.
the Teamsters. You got the Teamsters, you got the Longshoremen, you got all these hardy, real pro-union groups. And they're speaking at the Republican convention. Sean O'Brien, a great speech. I love this speech. He did a great
It was.
job. He's a Boston boy. He did a great job. He really did. And he didn't.
Our Double D page Uncensored is following him now.
Yeah, he didn't lay either way. I mean, he was right down the middle. He said it the way it was as a labor movement. I've been a labor guy my whole life. I belonged to a union my whole life, a maritime union. It's been a great union. And if we didn't have that union, mariners would be in trouble. They would be in serious trouble right now, as they're trying to run the Red Sea with missiles being shot at them and drones being shot at them. There'd be nobody protecting these guys because the companies wouldn't be standing up for them. It's the unions that make sure these guys aren't going through there, or they have the protection with them when they go. And it's the same thing with the Teamsters. It's the same show with the same thing with the longshoremen, who are probably going to go on strike on the East Coast here probably before.
Really?
Oh, absolutely, because they haven't had a contract in years that they've been fighting for fair labor practices. You know, and that's the
Well, and
whole.
they're the ones that deliver all our products,
Yeah,
every
absolutely,
single product that we use.
absolutely.
And that's why I'm hoping that the unions will lean, even a little bit right to
Well,
see that they haven't really been benefiting as long as the unions aren't catering to the least common denominator, as long as they're taking care of the union as a whole.
well, if they're taking care of the members to make sure that they're getting fair and equity rights, you know, that they're getting health care, they're getting what they need so they can provide for the families, you know, and they're not working 15, 20, 25 hours a day, you know, that they're working and they're getting fair wages for what they do, and they're not being overburdened by work, you know, and they're not being
Yeah, I was just really surprised. Has any Teamster ever spoken at RNC ever?
no. There may have been. I wouldn't say yes or no.
Not that I remember.
Not,
Diane, you
not
remember?
that I remember either. I mean, O'Brien gave a great speech. It was a really, really good, proactive speech, and he was right down the middle. But you know, he said if the Republican Party's for the working person, we'll prove it.
Yep.
You know, the Democrats always have said, but they never do. They never follow through. I mean, look at the inner cities, and you can see all the problems there.
Teachers union.
Yeah, oh, yeah, all of it. You know, I mean, all of it. Well, the teachers' union is really a government union, you know, which is a little bit. It's a lot different than a labor union. They're not the
That's
same.
for sure.
You know, they're not the same, and that's what people don't understand. You know, when we start getting to the government unions, they're different than the labor unions that, like the Teamsters and the longshoremen. You know, it's a totally different situation. So, and that's where we have to make that definitive difference and understand what they stand for. And that's why Sean O'Brien stayed. He went to the RNC. He was invited to the RNC. Trump reached out to him and said, "Come and speak."
Smart.
Absolutely.
And then they had the UAW workers speak in Detroit this past weekend. He gave a very good speech as well.
Absolutely. You know, so I mean, let's just hope it changes, because we definitely need change in this country, because the way we're going right now is not the way it should be. With what's happening at the borders, with all these people coming in, um, situations like even here in the South Shore of Massachusetts, we have problems in Rockland, where all these immigrants. There was a rape right in Rockland, Massachusetts. Which, you know, when I was growing up, this never happened. Now it happens. Why? Because Joe Biden opened the borders. We have all these people here that are taking over everything that we have, and we're losing our country. Period. Losing our country. Who knows? Fit men have come in to do damage to this country right now, and we know they have. We know they're here.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's
Well,
definitely.
the shame of it. So
well, all along we've been making our boys feminine.
right. I mean, they don't
Yeah.
even live between a woman. I've known what a woman is my whole life.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
So have I.
I grew up with one in my house. She was a strong Irish woman from the city,
From Salty
whose father was
or
a
Dorchester.
whose father was a district chief in the Boston Fire Department.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
She was a Brighton Alston lady.
Those are the kind of parents that would beat you for a block holding your hair until you got home.
Oh yeah, they were strong Irish women. I mean, there was no doubt. Is what it was like telling the difference between a potato and a beet. There's a difference.
Well, we hope you come back with us again when we have a little bit more information and you have a chance to talk to some of your Delta guys and we do have some special guests coming up that are going to be really exciting that we can't talk about yet. Um, and Diane is going to take us out.
Yeah, so it is the end of our show. And we'll be back next Monday at 8 o'clock. We hope you join us. We'll be doing a promo during the week to let you know who's going to be joining us. And Captain Bill, we would love to have you come back, especially now we're seeing that the
Captain Jim.
Hodies are. Oh my God,
Did
Captain!
you just call him Captain Bill?
It
Captain
probably
Jim.
did. You know why?
Idiot,
Because
idiot.
I watch Deadliest Catch all the time, and Captain Bill is on the friggin' Deadliest Catch, and I adore him. I love all those captains, by the way. Anyhow, Captain Jim, we would love for you to come back on our show because I know the Hootie and the Blowfish know, but the Hooties are starting to heat up again, obviously in the Middle East. So I know we're going to be having some discussion about that.
And
So
we're also like to talk about the Gulf of Aden and Israel.
yes,
Yep, it's all really getting smoking hot over there.
yeah. Oh, because they just did a drone that just hit the U.S. Embassy, right? It was in Yemen, I think.
Yeah, they shot
No,
that.
which embassy was it?
It was United States Embassy. They were just trying to hit.
Yeah. And it was just one of those drones that like defensemen kind of
Yeah,
piggybacks in, I guess, or something.
it was a drone that they didn't think had the distance, but it did. So it's definitely an Iranian drone.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, anyways, we will see you and have you come back on, and we'll see everybody next Monday at 8 o'clock. Everybody have a great week.
All right, good talking to you again.